Now we're going to start, and then for everybody who is joining from Zoom, can you just mute your speaker, please, from the location in SF328? If you can just mute your speaker, that would be great. For the people who are joining from our remote site, if you can just mute your mic, and when you have questions, then you can either type or unmute and ask questions. And so today, we have the workshop. The title is Faculty Panel Tips for Revising Your Online Courses for Semester. And we have the privilege inviting 3 faculty members joining us. And later I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. Okay, so they will have a lot of time to tell you who they are and what department, those kind of things. And so before we start, there are just some of the logistics I want to share with everybody. Today, we're going to talk about some of the background information as far as the academic policy on the online hybrid instruction. And we're also going to give a very short information about the OHQT grant that a lot of faculty members are participating right now, transforming their courses from quarter to semester. And we're also talking about the quality matters, which some of our faculty members went through, and our panels also went through that OHQT grant. They're going to share their thoughts with you. And this workshop specifically is also is collaboration with the quarter semester faculty development subcommittee. So it's part of their workshop as well. So we kind of joined the venture together from between the online campus and the subcommittee. So let me start with just kind of reminder, according to the Academic Senate policy for the online and hybrid instruction, there's an article about the quality of the course. That is, there's an encouragement that faculty using the quote or QM as the quality matter, as the quality standards for their course, and also about the accessibility. So that's just a reminder. Now, this workshop specifically, we invited 3 faculty members, Amy, Li-Ling, and Alton, and all of them went through what we call the OHQT grant, which is the Online Hybrid Quality Transformation Grant. And so far, we have 7 cohorts over the last 3 years. And so far, we have about 479 grants completed. So far. A lot of people attended this workshop, and then basically they're trying to learn about our OHQT grant. But I also want to just share that we make a lot of progress over the years. So one of the slides right now you're looking at is that all the courses that is being certified as the high quality course by quote or QM, Quality Matters, we have listed on our website. And so started from 2013, which is the quote. Actually, if you see Li-Ling Chen is the #1 on our list. And the next page, the next slide, I want to show you because Amy's name is on there as number 51. Her course being certified August 2017. And Alton's course is listed number 59 and is certified last November. So they're all wonderful people that has their courses certified. So the next slide is really, I just want to show very quickly for the quarter semester conversion on the semester conversion website, there's a unit calculator. So 4 quarter units equals 2.666, semester units. So a lot of courses when faculty member working with our instructional designers, and our 3 instructional designers currently is also joining us right here. Monica on my right, and then for the remote people, you won't be able to see it, but Meg is on my left, and Shira is also on my left. So for faculty members working with our instructional designers, they spend a lot of time, and because that 4 quarter unit to 2.66, a lot of times, if they're going to make us the 3 semester unit course or 4 semester unit course, they have to add a lot of contents. They have to revise and then think about what they need to put into the course. So later we might have opportunity that Monica, Cheryl, and Meg can share some of their experience with you as well. Okay. So the most important part of today is really not for me to talk. And so today is really, I want to make sure that our faculty member can spend a lot of time with each other and then share their thoughts. And so before we start, just do the introduction. So now the workshop actually starts. So my name is Roger. I'm the Senior Director for Online Campus, and we do the support and services for all the online and hybrid courses. So Amy, if you want to start the introduction all the way to the end.
Okay, well, even though you were first in that course online. Okay. I'm Amy Furniss. I work in the physics department, and I have an online astronomy class that has passed Quality Matters, and another introductory physics class that is very close. It's going through the review process. So both of them have been changed from quarter to semester courses.
My name is Li-Ling Chen. I'm from Teacher Education Department. I have 3 courses receive QM certificate, and I have 2 courses receive QOLT award.
And I'm Alton Jelks, and I have 1 course that was certified public policy course, and I'm in public administration. I've been a lecturer there for a number of years. So I just finished that one, and I'm now looking at doing another one, and I feel a whole heck of a lot better prepared for the second one. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. And so all 3 faculty members, they all have courses that successfully converted from quarter to semester. And so now we're going into our first part of the question is, I usually have the guiding questions, but usually the faculty member is going to spend about 5 to 7 minutes for each question and take turns. So the first question for our faculty, for our panel, is that in general terms, without considering the differences between the quarter and semester course design, what does the quality matters means to you in terms of the online course design, and how has that impacted the way that you design your online or hybrid courses? So this time, let's start with Alton.
Okay. Well, I prepared a few notes just to make sure I said something significant here. I think to start out with, prior to my QM experience, there was not a lot of direction on, how to put things together well. And, you sort of do it as best you can, and sometimes you talk with somebody, but there's a good chance you would end up talking to nobody. So QM was very impressive, I thought, as a way to organize your thoughts. And it sort of, for me, became a new way to think about putting a course together. It fostered a greater and more precise focus on all components of the course. And it made me realize you just can't take anything for granted. You just can't plug something in and think that that's okay. You need to think about how everything flows together, and you're constantly asking, does what I'm doing include what I'm including in the course add to and truly benefit the students? I mean, it's easy, again, just to put stuff in there and not realize you should be asking that. Moreover, you're looking for a smooth flow. At least I thought. That's one of the benefits here, is that from beginning to end, on paper and in the coursework, that there's a nice, smooth flow. So that's what I meant by a different way to think. And it asked me to rethink the purpose of the online component and not treat it as kind of stepchild, which, again, without good direction, you might think of, well, they're online, they can only do certain things, and no, you probably need to really think how to be creative and how to engage them the same way as if they were sitting in front of you. Which again, that takes a different bit of thinking, and that was important for me. And then finally, it meant that ensuring to tie online elements directly to the course and to the weekly objectives, and and make it a positive extension of this, and to create specific objectives and outcomes. So again, it was really a rigorous tightening up of the online component of my hybrid class. So I saw the benefit of that kind of thinking right away.
Awesome. Thank you. How about Lenny? Do you want me to repeat a question, or are you okay?
Oh, no, I'm okay. Okay. I would like to access the impact of QM for my course design from the benefits of accessibility. Yeah. Through the grants, hybrid and online grants, I'm fortunate enough to have taken 5 QM courses and two the new learning
Improve your online course.
the new OLC courses. Okay, and one of the courses I took is regarding the assistive design. And that was recommended by one of the instructional designer, but she left. And it was wonderful. Through I thought I already know assistive accessibility design very well, but through the class, the QM classes, I learned a whole lot of different things about how to make accessibility more user friendly. And then after that, because the new Blackboard Ultra has 80, yeah, right. Oh, LA is even great. Okay, I learned the basic knowledge from the QM accessibility class, and then the Blackboard LI, because the mark, because the green, the orange, the red, and from there when it shows red, I will click and to see what's going on, and they will tell you how to do it, how to fix your problem to make it become green. So I learned a lot about how to convert all my documents and my PowerPoint and all the instructional material, even though URL link, how to improve it until I got green. So I think from QM courses and also from the new Blackboard tool, this is the two most benefit course and tool which make me my course totally 100% accessibility compliance.
All right. Amy?
Okay, so naturally, as being the last person to go, I'm gonna everything they said, and then additionally, so I would say that the quality matters and being trained in quality matters. It doesn't stop, even though this is an online kind of thing, but it doesn't stop with online courses and hybrid courses. As a new instructor or a new faculty member here at East Bay, just getting introduction from Quality Matters really makes you think about how you teach your students, what you're expecting from your students, and making sure that you're giving your students enough information in order for them to do what you think that you want them to do. And just to highlight one thing about Quality Matters, that's my favorite and most annoying part of Quality Matters, is that they really concentrate on alignment. And sometimes when you're teaching a course and it's your favorite subject and you're just really into that course, and sometimes your students aren't really into that course, you want to put stuff into that course that sometimes you're like, this is a really cool subject, let's just study about this subject. But then it's not part of your module objectives, and it doesn't actually connect to the course learning objectives, and you never really test on it appropriately or assess whether or not they got it, but you put it in there because it was neat and cool and you were interested in it. So it really makes you think about building from the foundation up and making sure that your course objectives align with your module objectives, and that all of the students are aware of the course objectives and that they know where they're trying to go. It gives them an endpoint of, when I'm done with this class, this is what I need to know. And that's good for a student to be able to try to map out kind of their own educational process. And so as they go through, and they can go through the modules and then map those and see the actual map, which is a very nice requirement. They can see the map that you have thought, how each module ties into the course learning objectives, and then how every assignment is related and what they should be learning from every assignment. It sounds like a lot of work, and that's why I mentioned that it's kind of annoying. But it's annoying in that something that you really need to think about, and if you put all of the work forward into the class early on, then you can kind of get it on autopilot, and you have a really well thought out designed course where if a student says, well, I don't understand why we're doing this, you can say, oh, well, let me tell you why we're doing this. Here's a nice little map, and this is how I'm going to assess what you know. This is what you need to know. This is why you need to know it. And this is how it's aligned into your course objectives. And then all of your course objectives are nicely aligned into your college's learning objectives and the institution's objectives, so you can just really tie it back to your college education in general. So that's a grand scheme of education through Quality Matters.
Well, thank you, Amy. That's actually the #1 feedback that we have received over the 3 years. It's really annoying when we come to the alignments, but everybody at the end really happy about doing that. And actually, over the last 3 years when we were doing it, we also received a lot of feedback for the faculty on campus who are teaching online, hybrid, and on-ground courses. They actually say, well, they're really hoping that there are something like this for the on-ground, they are doing it, so that way for the on-ground course also have the similar quality standards that they can use. So that's just one. Now for a little bit about the commercial for our online campus, or that Li-Ling Chen mentioned about the Li. So for those folks that join us, that if you don't know about the Li, we purchased a tool that's about $30,000 integrated with the Blackboard that will automatically converting your content into accessible formats such as audio. So students can actually download the audio file and listen while they're driving or something, whatever they want. But that's one. The other one is for sorry, yeah.
Is that live or?
Yes, it's in our production. Everybody can use it.
Right. Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And
how do I let the students know they can do that?
perfect. So usually the question is, how do we let the student know how to use it? So I'll have to repeat it for the remote people. So usually we put out the system announcement, so that way all the users will receive the system announcement in Blackboard. And so that's one. And then accessibility office also mentioned to their students.
Because I just had a student who was recording my lecture, and I said, I already have it pre-recorded. She says, oh no, I'd like to listen to it in my car. So now I can tell them they don't have to record it. They can.
Well, Li only works for the file, the document, not the videos.
Oh, okay.
Right,
All right.
right. Sorry. So the other one is that every quarter we will have workshops, and Li usually is one of the items that we will cover during our workshops. And for faculty member participating in our online quality transformation grant that Alton mentioned, Li-Ling mentioned about the workshops, one of the required grant components is to attend the Apply Quality Matters rubric to learn about all those different annoying things that you have to do. And so, but it's really annoying, but they spend about 2 weeks online or 1 day face-to-face with Meg or Cheryl or Monica. But we have other workshops that we currently provided. So if you go to the online campus website, there's a list of the webinars or the workshops available. So that's enough for the commercial. The second question is, this time we're going to start with Amy.
I had to start before. I think it
so when we do the, yeah, let's start with Li-Ling.
we all get free.
Right. So the next question is, what approach do you use to converting your online course from quarter to semester? And are there any additional considerations when you converting or designing your semester course? So this is really going to be our faculty panel is going to spend a lot of time in this question, because they all have different approach, and the way that they work with instructional designers are all different. And so they probably will spend a lot of time in this area. And then after this question, I will be asking the faculty members to showcase their course, go to the Blackboard, actually show you the course in the semester course. Okay, so Li-Ling, start.
Okay, I prepare a PowerPoint slide, so would you please go next? Okay, I use backward design approach. Yeah, the backward design approach is very popular in the field of education. Dr. Patricia Irvine, our associate dean, she is also quite support the design, and she also would like me to share the design with everyone in this meeting. There are 3 steps for this approach. Number 1, list start from your student learning outcome. So what do you want your student to learn? Yeah, you just list down what do you want your student to learn. And then number 2, you think about how you have you met or not, whether you have met those student outcomes after you design something. And for those have not met, you add in the design. Yeah, that's number 2. And number 3 is develop a calendar of topics and activities to support the assessment. So according to semester, semester has 15 weeks. So you can just divide the student learning outcome into 15 weeks, and then we design activities to make sure the assessment can assess students' learning outcome. Okay, that's it.
So, Alton, you want to be the next one?
Oh, okay.
And Alton, just so you know, everybody from the remote, before this conference call, he has shared with me a lot of different thoughts. So I want to make sure that you repeat those, so that way people can enjoy that as well. Thank you.
Well, okay, both of my conversion courses, one I'm working on now, were taught in the past in quarter system, and although the one I'm working on now was a new course to me in the quarter system, so there's still a lot to do with that. How I looked at proceeding, I don't know how different it is here, but I still think it's important to kind of visualize the entire course. I don't know exactly what that means, but it probably means I take a piece of paper and a pencil and I just try to roughly sketch out the pieces and kind of see where I'm going. And the student outcomes are what I want to just begin to sketch out. But the first thing I did in this class, in redoing it, was the, let's see, course objectives, overall course objectives, 8 or 9, I think there were. One aspect of this course is the art, the book that I refer to is Leadership as Dance. So it's bringing the arts into consideration of leadership. And I have to work through that kind of carefully and figure out how I'm going to do it. Student designing the student outcomes, whatever they're called, the broadest outcomes or goals, is important for me to get an anchor in terms of how everything's going to relate. And then I go into more specific course objectives, and a greater understanding of leadership in the public sector is what I'm looking for people to leave this with, because you can easily, students can easily think that their model is in Silicon Valley or in the private sector, when more and more of us have begun to realize, no, that's not the model. The model is the public sector. And how do you, so what does that mean in terms of how you define leadership? I review my course texts to see if they're going to work well with this, and I consider new and more effective ways to make the main points. For example, if dance is an issue, can I bring a choreographer into the class and talk about leadership on stage? Because ultimately, if you walk into your office and view it not as cubicles, but as a stage, that's a different way to think. And my pushing public administration is that it is indeed a different way to think in the public sector. Then I began to sketch out measurable weekly objectives, and I know this sounds like I'm sort of grabbing at things here and there, but I'm trying to put it in logical order, and realize the conversion to a semester format is a great opportunity to add content and activities, and I'm doing that, including more journal articles, outside activities such as observation, and interviews. I sent students to the DMV, sneak in there, hang out for a while, because we all know the DMV is an awful place. Well, you know what? If you sit there for 45 minutes or an hour, you really see what's going on. And as a manager, you need to know. And you can't talk to everybody in the world to find out. You need to be able to gather knowledge by observing. So I ask them to do that. And interviews, more classroom speakers, use of media, of course, people are doing that, documentaries, films. And I want to also stress working together, since, you know, it's how to improve what we do, working together with staff. So hadn't been for working with the staff here and getting guidance, I would have hit a lot of brick walls and not been able to kind of get around them. So doing all of these things for me, and then working closely with staff, really not only moved it forward, but it was my education that was involved here as well.
Great, thank you for sharing that. And Amy?
Well, I'm I would claim to be a very logical person, and so my course design and how I designed my course, both under the quarter and then changing it in the semester, seems the most natural. It's a little bit different if you bring up the slides that were, so 1, 2, 3, right there. I would say it's not completely backwards from what I did. I started with, I do the assessments. You do the assessments first, right? I think about the assessments first.
Not really, because why I say backwards? Because most of the time when we design, we were starting from to do course objective. Yeah, well, we will design course objective, this course objective first, and then go down to weekly student learning objective. But mine is backward. I have student learning objective first, and then you list all the student learning objectives, and then of course, you review what you missed, and then you add in, and then you spread out. For example, each week is about 3, averagely, about 3 student learning objectives. No less than 2, no more than 4. And 3 is a normal number I have used, because I think that's more legitimate in terms of designing activities. And then I'll go back to the calendar. So instead of from the big course objective, and then going down to assessment and student learning objective, I backward from student learning objective, and then assessment, and then activity, and then course objective.
So I come up with my calendar first. I have my textbook that is associated with the course, and I take, for example, a chapter of that textbook, and I say this is going to be one module in my course. And so I set my calendar based on the content of the book. And under the quarter system, I had 17 chapters that I was getting through. And what that means is that 7 of those chapters you're really kind of racing through, and you're just touching very briefly on the subjects. And so I would have a calendar, I would break it into modules. It would be 10 modules, 1 per week, and then some of those modules would have 2 chapters that were just, not covered very well. And then from those chapters, I would come up with the learning objectives for each of those modules, making sure that they tied into the course objectives that were given to me when I adopted the course or inherited the course from somebody else. So then when I moved to the semester version after I had my quarter course, it was really easy to say, oh, well, I have more time. Now I can just, and it might be a special case, because our teaching with that unit conversion that you had flashed on the screen previously, it's actually supposed to be the same amount of content spread over 15 weeks instead of 10 weeks. So I don't have to add anything to my astronomy course, which I'll show after we answer our questions. And so now I have 15 weeks, and I don't have to race through any material, so I got to have those students concentrate on each chapter for some more time. Once I have the concepts or the modules, then I make sure that there's assessments. And a key component that I was really nervous about when I started doing online teaching is that I thought, well, you can't do, somebody else brought this up, they're just online, so they just type, and listen, and that's all they can do, right? Well, no, we have to have some sort of active engagement in the material. So I spent a lot of time trying to make sure that with every single week, there was at least one assignment that corresponded to a module and to a learning objective where they were hands-on kind of dealing with it. And so some examples of that is discussion boards are very useful. You can ask them a question, and you can have nice rubrics that ensure that they know what their discussion, because one of the things that I found is challenging is getting students to actually engage in the discussion board instead of write, I think this, period. Like, that's it. And it's like, well, nobody is going to have any thoughts about your thoughts. It's not a discussion. So you can make it kind of clear that they're supposed to have a discussion about the concept and that you're responding to other students' posts. And then there's the voice thread where they can do projects. I thought this was one of the exceptional tools that we now have time under semesters to do. So it's a 2-week-long assignment, and voice thread allows them to go through their slides and actually make slides and then present and record their voices for each slide. And then you can have other students watch their fellow students' presentations and write notes on them, and then you can take some questions for your exam off of those student presentations. So I had students give presentations on the planets, and then I didn't lecture on the planets at all. There was just their reading material and stuff like that. So I thought that was one way to get the students really engaged. And it's challenging when you're thinking about doing an online course, especially when you only have a quarter, to get them to do the hands-on stuff. It takes more time, but that's one of the things with semester you really can have more assessments that are integrated with their activities. So I think that's that.
Great. So I'm going to start having Amy log into her Blackboard, and while she's doing that, I just got a couple of things that kind of mentioned. Alton and Amy mentioned about there are some of the activities that they're doing for their quarter courses. Oops.
Oh, that's just happening to lots of people these days. I've noticed.
Try again.
I think it's
She forgot her password.
no.
You're right.
Arrowing has been working for me.
Yeah, trust me, she forgot her password.
I'm going to claim I'm very forgetful these days.
So far, you know, from Amy, from Li-Ling, there are two different kind of the approach being mentioned about designing the online course from quarter to semester. And there's also a lot of different activities, the tools that being mentioned about moving forward to the semester course, what they're thinking about the activity to include in their course. Like Alton mentioned about some of the projects, some of the interview, you know, those kind of things. And then the activity-wise and the tool that they mentioned about, like for example, Amy mentioned about the voice thread, that's one. And we also, for the online campus, just building another commercial. We also have for the voice thread, we switched to the campus-wide license now. So previously, we only have limited departmental license, but because the usage, we have to switch to the campus-wide license. And we also have the adaptive learning tool, which is technology that we use. It's called Smart Sparrow, that we currently also just sign up for the campus-wide services. So if you're interested about knowing how to use those tools or other tools, feel free to contact our instructional designers, and they can show you how to use those. Okay, so now the last question is really for our faculty panel, faculty member to actually take you to their course and give you a tour of their semester course. And then maybe during that time, they can also provide additional more thoughts as far as the quarter to semester conversion. So this time it's going to be starting from Amy, and then the computer will move to Li-Ling and Alton.
Okay, so just to start, sorry about displaying my shame here. You can see the announcement page, and one of the things that everybody with an online course has experienced and an on-ground course has experienced, but maybe not so glaringly, is that when the student thinks that they're alone and they're submitting assignments, that they think, I'll just copy and paste this. So it's amazing the amount of discussions that people will copy and paste. So when you ask for a discussion, tell me what you think about this subject, and it's not even a quantitative correct yes or no answer. They don't even want to think for themselves. They're just going to post something that somebody thought and posted on a discussion board that was publicly viewable in some other website. And we have the tools to check this automatically and make it easy for you, so you don't have to be like, well, that doesn't really sound like an answer that I should be getting from my students. So this page, if you go to the online course, it drops you on announcements, and this is going to be something that changes when you actually move into the real Ultra system, and I'm very excited about that. The whole system, I think, once we get it to successfully work, it's going to be amazing. But the announcement page is...
It's working.
Well, if I convert my course to Ultra, it says 148 items not done correctly. So when it works for me, it's going to be awesome. So it drops to this announcement page for the students when they sign on, which is good, so they know what's going on, but these announcements are sent to them automatically. And to start the class out, and it's part of the Quality Matters kind of process, that you want to make sure that a student can stumble half asleep into your online classroom and understand where to go immediately. So all of my courses set up here on the left-hand side, and there's a welcome video where I lead the students through the actual course as is set up in Blackboard, and it's just a little video that I made with Camtasia that follows my little mouse around, and I click and explain stuff like that. There's also an amazing tool that gets you closer to the students, so you can actually talk to them instead of just communicate with them via email, or 1 in 10 you're communicating with via email. Is I utilize Zoom for office hours, and I also utilize Zoom for some of my on-ground office hours. And the number of students that attend to office hours in the Zoom room is amazing. I have a classroom with 100 students. It's an on-ground class, and I have 50 of those students show up to office hours because they're hidden. They don't have to talk to me. They can type their question into the chat room, and instead of actually coming to my office hours where they're intimidated by me, I don't know why, they feel as though they're not really, that I can't see them, and so they're safer. It's a safer environment. So there's a Zoom room here. You can actually put that room, so when they click on it, it automatically goes in. You can have set office hours, which is something that's different as I expected. The syllabus is given here, and the syllabus is always something you refer back to many, many times. It has a grading policy and blah, 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 just like a standard online course. And then having a space for rubrics, making it clear where the student and how the student will be graded on all of the assessments. So just having them all in one space is nice, so that you can reference them if they ask you about why did I get this on this assignment. You can just point them to the rubrics page. So then you go into modules, or I have them, they're called modules, or they're called units, but I call them weeks because they're weeks in my class. They go by. Jeffrey, you have a question?
Do you have them all loaded at once, or do you load them week by week?
I have them show up about a week ahead, so if a student is motivated and wants to keep it to go quickly, but I don't want to put them all down because then it gets them confused as to if there's a midterm after week 7 and they're playing in module or week 9, they're distracting themselves. So I make sure to post a little early if you have time to work on next week's assignment early, but not all at once. And in week 1, I have, well, it does know what week 1 means. The first time I taught this class online, it was just a lot of text. And you start top to bottom and instruct the student to go through the material just from the top all the way down. And this is the only week I'll go through. And it was just a lot of text, which I have been through a lot of school and I do love to read, but man, oh man, if you just stare at a website with all it has on there is text, it's just overwhelming and boring. So I started putting little comics that have something to do with the actual subject. And there's the accessibility. You can see most of my accessibility is red because Ally and I don't get along yet, but I'm going to use it now because I learned at this wonderful workshop.
I'm glad I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's red and back.
My faculty learning program has a lot of that.
You can actually so Ally, what Monica has taught me is that when you click on this red thing is clickable, and it will tell you how to make that actual thing. Yeah. And it will turn, or I can usually get them orange maybe.
I don't have green. Mine's all green.
Okay, well,
I aspire to be you someday.
aspire to green, all right. Now I know that.
So you have your discussion topics and many, many comics you'll see. Then I have lecture videos, and lecture videos are one of the challenges that is it just your voice over slides, but we have a tool that you can get your lectures actually recorded. It's called the Learning Glass, and you can contact Glenn Brewster and he'll schedule that with you, and you can actually have lectures where it looks like you're looking at the camera, and that's much more engaging for students. You only have to record them once. It's a lot of work up front, but then they're available. And I also make the slides available at the same time, so if a student needs to just go through the slides. Then I have some writing assignments to try to get them engaged, and textbook material that is available. And that makes up my one module, and they work through it, as I said, from the top to the bottom, so they try to have the natural timeline of what they should be going through in that module. So I think, is that everything that I've Does anybody have any questions before I hand the computer over?
Any questions from anybody from remote participants?
In your discussion board, do you have your prompts in the discussion board, or do you have your prompts in your module or your weeks, or do you have them in both, or how?
So the discussion board links are directly from the modules, but if you wanted to just go to all of the discussion boards, you can click there and it will bring you to all of the discussion boards with the description of what you're supposed to be doing. So a student can see whether or not they've actually contributed to a discussion or not, if they want to see everything at once.
And with your rubrics, with your rubrics, can we just look, okay, so that would be for like, all written assignments have that general rubric.
That's how I've designed my assessment.
Okay, and then do you put that, if they have a written assignment, again in the week?
In the,
Or,
yes.
okay,
Yeah.
like a link to that.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I remind them that the rubric is available and that this is how they will be graded. I put the link and I also attach the rubric itself.
Yeah.
And there is a way where you can start grading with these rubrics online,
I
on
know,
Blackboard,
yeah,
where you
some
just have
people
to
are
click,
doing
click,
that,
click. That is, I haven't figured out how to do that yet, but someday I aspire to do that.
And for that, Amy is going to.
Monica's taking notes on what she has to teach me, so this is good.
So while Amy logging off from her account and moving the computer to Li-Ling, I'm just going to mention a couple of things. So we do have a workshop that is dealing with the rubrics. And so feel free to, again, go to our website and participate that. And then also, when Amy said about the Zoom, I was using the Zoom for my ITM 3060 course, online course as well, just for the midterm check-in. And I mentioned to Alton is that actually that is considered one of the most engaging activity that I have, and also the feedback from the end of course survey, that is the number one that the student really love in that activity. And because during that activity, I was able to share the students' achievements and then let them know about what assignment they need to improve, and then what can they do to improve their grades if they are in the danger zone, right? So that's that. And then also like another commercial. So we're considering turning on the text messaging features in the Blackboard, because previously we have to meet the FCC requirement because you have to opt in, opt out. So until that is done, then we will turn that on, and then to make sure that the student can actually receive the notification or the grades, from their phone, from their cell phone when the notification is turned on. So now Li-Ling is ready, so I'm going to have you demonstrating your semester course.
Okay, I would like to show you a semester course. I just got QM certificate in December, and believe it or not, I got review only 7 days. Wow. It just takes 7 days, and I got passed. And thank you for sharing. Yeah. Because my first QM review, it takes me about 40 days to get a result. Yeah, but this one got 7 days, and I think I did a very good job. Okay, first of all, I always like to have some attraction. So okay, as you can see, my banner is very high quality, yeah, very professional, and tells my learners about what the course is. So this is very different, makes my course very different from other Blackboard courses. Students can be aware, right, immediately aware of what courses they are. Okay. After that, I'm going to show you a couple of features. I think my course is very different from others. Number one, course content chart. I have a course content chart. Students can come here to see all the weekly topics, presentations, and readings, activities, and the assignment due. Yeah. So this is the content review, the course content chart. It's ready for semester, and I got approved based on the semester course design. My presentation and reading, very different from Amy. Amy's approach is based on a specific textbook, but mine is different because mine is backward design approach. So after learning from student learning outcomes. So I got some, I want students to learn something. So I have topic. And under topic, I have student learning outcomes. I will show you later. And then I decide what presentation, what readings I want to provide. So I have about 3 different textbooks. And besides that, I have my own, create my own PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so for example, week 1, I have my PowerPoint presentation. I also have a reading, okay, chapter 1 from Mertler's book. And in week 2, it's a little bit different. It's getting started in instructional technology research, which is another book. So this is a very different approach from Amy's approach. Like week 4, week 5, I cannot find a good article in a textbook. So I use my own PowerPoint. Yeah.
Are there any questions from folks joining from the remote site? Are there any questions? Oh, so Lisa, I'm sorry, technical difficulty, but we're back.
Yes, we are back. Thank you very much for your patience. This is Li-Ling Chen again. And now I would like to show you the weekly, okay? I have all the course material out before, 2 days before the semester or quarter begins for all my online classes. This is a totally online design, but with a mix of synchronous and asynchronous. When I designed this course, I was wondering the technical difficulty to bring students for synchronous instruction. Yeah, because to design an asynchronous, totally an asynchronous design for online learner, they are very happy. They like it. They don't have to meet in a fixed specific time. But I just try both, and it turns out the QM reviewer, they like it very much. Yeah. So this is week 10, and again I have overview, learning objective, topics, etc. And from Monica in November I attended her one of the QM courses, face-to-face training. She showed us one of the faculty members' design. I really like it very much. Okay, one of the designs is the weekly assignment under overview. Weekly assignment, I have 2, activity 1 and activity 2, okay? And under here, I will say due date and also WLO. Yeah, so this allows students or maybe allow a QM reviewer to have a better understanding about how I tie in with the weekly learning objective with student learning objective. But previously, from the 2 other QM courses, my design, I do not including those. What I including is this one, presentation and reading. And then I have a presentation, I will in a brief introduction about what it is. And then WLO1. So I kind of double alignment. Besides the overview, weekly assignments align, I also have each activity aligned with the student learning outcomes and course learning objectives. So activity 1, and I do including Zoom. And you can see I all have green. No matter which week, if you click, all green. Yeah. So I'm very proud of it because I spend a lot of time. Yeah. And activity. And again, all activity was starting from purpose, procedure. So if you go to Zoom, okay, let's go back. Purpose, and then with the WLO, weekly learning objective, format, and then procedure. Okay. And then I also have evaluation rubric criteria. So how do I evaluate? Yeah. So after, and then resources. If there's additional things needed, I will provide resources. All activity has evaluation criteria. Yeah. So this is one of the example, and week 1 is a little bit different.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So this is a fully online.
Fully online.
So how are you allowed to require a synchronous session?
That's a very good question. So it is a challenge. Yeah, it is a challenge when I designed it. I almost forgot. I almost give up with in synchronous design. I actually have 2 synchronous meetings for this class, week 10 and also week 14. Yeah, and that's true. How can I do that? I think I find out a remedy is about here. At the end, because it's very hard
You have an
to inspect.
alternative assignment.
Right, I have alternative
That's
assignment.
all I needed to know.
Right. Okay, good. And that's it.
Oh, perfect.
Right.
So do we need to fill in another a commercial before we move into Alton? It will take a while. So please log out and then allow Alton to log into his account.
I'm on as a guest, just because nothing else seems to work. So I'm already on as a guest. So I put in the, well, the one that goes with being a guest.
Oh, no, this one's gonna be back. You just put in your net ID
Oh,
and then your, yeah.
and then which,
That's what you're doing.
oh, that is pretty tricky. May or may not be this.
That's a great interview.
I love Penastel.
Right?
Yeah. A lot of things
This
that I
is-
love.
That's why I had to go as a guest, because when I try signing on, I can't get on. No, it says username or password.
I'm trying to get back in. Are there any questions from anybody right now that we can have Amy or Li-Ling answer? Any questions from Raymond?
I run a faculty learning community on peer review of online courses, and even though it's already something that started in the community, has had 2 meetings. If you ever wanted to drop in, you should send me an email if you're interested in something about your online course or you want to see one of our online courses. We meet on Fridays, 1:30 to 3:30. Email.
Perfect.
Okay, well, since being certified, I have not had the opportunity to actually teach the class. So whoops has not occurred. And I suspect it will when I start doing that. Let's see, I don't know exactly. What I'd like to do is bring up the syllabus, and here it is. Oops, there it is. Well, you've chosen to open it up. Okay, and only because I think that was one of the very positive outcomes, is getting things organized here. I even had a table of content at the beginning. They're not numbered, and say page 4 or something like that, so who knows, maybe that would be appropriate. Purpose of the course, I found that students don't really read the purpose of the course. So I keep trying to get it concise and shorter and shorter. Let them know it's a hybrid course and how many of the sessions will be. I talk about what the books are, because again, going through this process, realizes that's one of the first things they want to know. How much money am I going to spend on books, and they want to order online and get them. So, right away. And then course outcomes, just right up front. And again, I'm visualizing that they all tie to every week's activities and so on. And then I go through the course assignments. Again, I think students want to see, if nothing else, I'll see how much work is going to be required of them. That's sort of a normal thing, even though they've got to take the class. And it's not going to be off again, at least not for the next 2 years, because it's a master's program, And so I go through each one of those as best I can, explaining. Now, by the way, they have a worksheet for this first meeting. And I asked, I forget how many, 7 or 8 questions that they are supposed to be able to respond to, and I collect those too. And then I talk about we'll have guest speakers, points, all the stuff that you all, I'm sure, do already. And but the whole idea was the flow kind of made sense. So if you move, I'll go through the assignment page, which is similar to yours, I think. And then I have my own personal introduction way at the end. Who cares? But so they still want it to be included.
Some students really do care.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
they want to know more.
I figure it's in public policy. I've got to be able to tell them where I worked in public administration, public policy, so it's there. But yeah, you're right. I'm sure. And then I talk about the learning outcomes of the department, just to let them know what that big picture is, and then the rubrics for grading, and other paper kinds of standards. And then I have this one assignment that's a portfolio, which I go back and forth on whether or not I should continue to do that, but it's not a paper. I ask them to take 10 concepts and work it down into a one-pager that's a little artsy and explain it in their own words. So in this case, citizens' engagement and participation, and how would you say that in one page? What does it mean? And so on. It's a way to think that I try to encourage students, if you're sitting in front of the city manager and you're interviewing, why wouldn't you bring out a portfolio, just like an artist would bring out a portfolio, or somebody else would bring out a portfolio, thoughts that are critical and important to you as an emerging public leader, so that, I think some students like it and some students maybe less so. And then the other thing I just mentioned is, all right, how do I get back to, Chrome, this one, right? Okay.
Okay, let's try Firefox.
Oh, okay. So the last one then would be, what am I looking for? Course oh, no. So this then, this is weekly objectives, and then their assignments, and they're all tied to the overall course objectives as asked for in the QA process. And then there's another sheet that goes into more detail about the assignments and that sort of thing. So for me, the experience was good in alignment. Now how well it's aligned, and all that is always a question. That's why I say I haven't taught class. But the other thing is alignment can be a negative kind of environment. How strictly are you adhering to something called alignment? This is an education experience. It's supposed to be malleable. It's supposed to be creative. It's supposed to be on the spot, if that's as you were suggesting in your course. I mean, you suddenly think, I'd like to do this. It really makes a good point. Well, you still need to be able to do that. But so where is alignment really critical? And that is that there's this sort of movement of thinking that goes from this broad outcome or from the bottom up, that means everything you're doing kind of relates to materials that you're using, experiencing you're asking students to engage in, and so on. And then the last thing is, refining the online experience. Actually, what are they doing? And I like to see what other people are doing with that, to help make it more engaging and so on. So.
All right, that's great. Now that you have actually seen the 3 different flavors of the semester course, and we do have one question from Lisa. Anyone can just pick it up. The question is, I'm wondering how people use multisensory techniques, which are good for students with learning disabilities. So anyone want to answer that?
Okay, I can answer. I have in the past years of teaching, I had a few, I should say three students. Okay, they have a learning disability from the office. Yeah, and how do I address this issue in my course design? All my course material are offered in multiple formats. Yeah, so for syllabus, I offered in document format and also offered in PDF format. For PowerPoint, I offer in PPT and PDF format. So all my course materials are offered in different formats to allow students to maximize or to exercise whatever assistive technology they have in their computer, so they can use to reach their learning goals.
Great. And Amy, do you want to add anything?
Well, so mine wouldn't directly address the students with learning disabilities, but it's a question of some courses are appropriate naturally for online learning environments, and some, like physics, it's very challenging, or chemistry, it's very challenging, and that's why you come up with a hybrid course where there is a component where the student gets to go to a lab and actually watch the ball drop and or mix chemicals together and have that tactile kind of discussion sections with students where they're working out problems together. And that's one of the ways of overcoming that is taking it away from a strict online environment. But also I peer review online courses, and I've had a couple courses of physics courses that are I've peer reviewed, and they have overcome this not by adding a lab component, but with the course, instead of just a textbook, they actually send a little box that is a lab box that has a ruler, it has a ball, it has a thermometer, it has all the stuff that you might need to, do your own little experiments in class. And then they have the activities where they show you you're going to drop the ball, time how long it takes to have the ball drop, do the experiments, and then you have the thought processes that lead from that. And then there's also a lot of tools online if you want to show physical processes or some concepts where you can do simulations, and the kids get to play around, and they think it's almost like a video game. And there's a lot of them for science in particular, but also outside of science if you're trying to do this. The video game aspect is one of the things that seem to resonate with students these days. So making it secretly educational where they think it's a game, but they're actually learning. That's how we have to do.
Reiterate about the text-to-voice feature of Ally now too.
Oh, right. So that's what I was thinking is really there are two areas. One is about accessibility. Okay. So usually in our department, our instructional designer usually working with faculty is really talking about the universal design. So we want to make sure that we have multiple different formats, and part of it is by using the Li that can actually converting the file into different formats, converting to the audio format, but also like different ways of engaging the student, different ways of delivering the content to the students. And so those are the things that in our department we're working on. We also have two different other tools. One is the Smart Sparrow, which we mentioned about, is the adaptive learning tool. And the other one is the SoftChalk. So those two tools already allow us to build modules, multimedia-based modules. So you can have audio, video into the modules. You can actually have the quizzes into the modules, or you can even have the simulations into the modules as well. So if that's something you're interested in, later on you can also reach out to our team and we can work with you. And we recently just done a pilot with artificial intelligence. And so that's kind of simulation of the instructor engagement with the students. But that costs a little bit more money, so we have to seek funding if we want to expand that activity. So that's that. Write the name of those two tools. Lisa, I'm going to have Cheryl write in the chat for those two names for you, Smart Sparrow and SoftChalk. Okay, so